Hey there, Screen Watchers. It is the Screen Watcher back here again with the second installment of the Santa Claus trilogy. But before we get into the review, again, please like and subscribe to the channel.
Shh, they're about to start the movie.
All right, like I said in the intro, we are back again to discuss the second Santa Claus movie, which is titled The Santa Claus 2. It came out in 2002, so a little bit more recently, a big jump in between the two movies from 1994 all the way to 2002. They decided to make a second one, and they really did change the tone, but they did get Tim Allen, they did get Eric Lloyd, they did get Judge Reinhold, Wendy Crewson, and David Krumholtz all to come back to their roles. So they all reprised their separate roles. They did add Spencer Breslin. He played Curtis, another elf at the North Pole, who is a real stickler for rules. You would know him from Cat in the Hat, as well as Disney's The Kid. They added Elizabeth Mitchell, who plays Carol. You would know her from Lost, as well as Frequency. And then they added Liliana, I believe Mummy is how they pronounce it. She plays Lucy Miller, who is Judge Reinhold's and Wendy Crewson's daughter. She's from Cheaper by the Dozen 1 and Cheaper by the Dozen 2. You would know her in those movies. Getting into the movie itself, again, I mentioned it in the first movie's review. The tone really shifts in this movie. The Santa Claus 2, the plot point is that Scott Calvin can no longer be Santa Claus unless he gets a Mrs. Claus, meaning he has to get married. So he has to start going out on dates and finding a new Mrs. Claus, and he only has so much time in order to find this Mrs. Claus. So you have all of that going on. You have a Molly Shannon scene, which is a bit over the top. But the biggest change that comes to my mind is David Krumholtz's character in Bernard. In the first one, he's very dry. He's very sarcastic. He's kind of a jerk, I guess I would say, especially for an elf. And the elves, again, are very kind of, I got to get my job done, stop talking to me kind of thing in the first movie. In the second movie, you know, they're playing football, and you know, you have toy soldiers walking around, and there's more sound effects put into the movie, and it's definitely geared more towards children. So the tone has changed a whole lot, which initially, when I first saw the movie, it really jarred me to the point where I was like, this really isn't good, because I went in expecting it to be like the first one. Upon subsequent watches of the movie, you know, I see it more for what it is, and again, it's a little bit of a cash grab from a movie that was successful 8 years prior to the release of this one. And it's a little bit of changing it towards the audience. They just changed the audience for what it was for. You know, in 2002, you wanted to have a happier Christmas movie, and that's what they went for. Again, it was pretty gosh darn successful, because a lot of people wanted to see more of Tim Allen as the Santa Claus. And you know, Eric Lloyd went from being a child to being a teenager. You know, he was in middle school, high school, I believe it was, high school. And Elizabeth Mitchell, Carol, in the movie, she plays his principal. So it's a very different dynamic in the movie itself. So again, initially I was not a big fan, and I ended up starting to like it. I still think it's kind of a B-level-ish movie, just because of the kind of antics that go on during the movie. I still think it's overall a pretty good Christmas movie. There's only so much you can do with Christmas movies, but it has some good wholehearted moments. It has some good touching moments. There are some laughs that aren't just for kids. There are some laughs that are specifically for kids that make adults kind of cringe a little bit, which is why I don't rate it as highly as the first one. But I mean, you're never gonna get the same lightning in the bottle that you do in the second movie every single time. It's very rare for that to happen. You know, I can only name a few movies that's ever really happened. You know, and it's so rare. But you know, the Santa Claus 2 is a good movie. It's just not a great movie. It was made for a different purpose. And it was made to entertain children, and I think it does that. So I would say, again, if you have kids or if you just love Christmas or if you really enjoyed the first one, you're going to like this movie. So I would suggest purchasing it as well. There's a 99.999% chance you're going to find it really, really cheap online or in a bin somewhere, especially around this time of year. There's a good chance it's going to be playing on Freeform or whatever they're calling it these days at some point. So give it a watch, see how you feel. And let me know how you like it in the comments down below. If you completely disagree with me and think this is way better than the first one, let me know in the comments down below. I really want to have these discussions with y'all. I get a lot of them on Facebook and have messages sent back and forth, and that's one of my favorite things to do is discuss movies with people. So let's get into it. But other than that, that is my review of the Santa Claus 2 from 2002. So hopefully you enjoyed your day at the cinema, whether it was at home or at your local theater. Hopefully your popcorn is always fresh. I am the Screen Watcher, and I will see you next time for our next movie review. Thank you.